Hello and welcome back to our episode 6 of our Discover Japan series with Charlie Orr of Inside Japan. This is part 2 where we are looking at small group tours. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you head back to the start of our Japan series so you don't miss a thing. Follow and subscribe to hear the latest with all things travel.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of small group tours. There's going to be your food is going to be a bit more of an experience. You're going to be going to a lot more specialised areas. You've got somebody with you who obviously speaks a lingo and is able to adapt the itinerary to whatever everybody's liking and kind of going with, or they haven't done before and they want to go and do and experience a bit more, then they can adapt a lot more to that.
Absolutely.
And a lot more of a personable experience as well when you're there, instead of just being kind of herded around. And so it's a very different experience on many different fronts and levels that you're kind of getting with those small group tours versus either going by yourself or again going in a large group tour. And you'll also see places you can't access with a large group tour as well.
Exactly, yeah. It's sort of like going into certain temples or monasteries and having an experience like that, or kind of going to kind of very small, let's say, doll making workshops in Shikoku, for example, and it just kind of like gives you that extra level of confidence. So, and they are really popular. I wouldn't say there's a particular age range that small group tours are geared for. We do get people of all ages, so whether that's kind of newlyweds or families with teenagers, I'll go back onto that in a moment. Retirees or solo travelers as well. So our small group tours are really popular solo travelers because they're allowed to kind of feature as part of a group that makes them feel like they're traveling as a group rather than sort of being on the side. So our insiders are great in knitting everybody together. So they're really popular for solo travelers. But kind of going back on the teenage thing. So our small group tours are really great for families with teenagers. Now, because the tours are quite active, so you're doing a lot of steps a day, you're making sure that you're kind of making the most of your time. So if you have kids that are slightly younger, it's always worth chatting through with Jason in terms of your options. But usually younger families, they might need something a bit more tailor-made. So you might be looking for, let's say, apartment-style hotels or the Machia residence that we talked about in the accommodation episode. This is great. I can just refer back to previous episodes on the Blink. That sort of cater to families. So obviously kind of discuss what you're looking for in your trip to Japan. But I think a small group tour just brings the most value. So in terms of the different routings that we've got and different itineraries for our small group tours, we've got the kind of more cost-effective, like essential range, or the kind of more luxury options as well, with the extravagant options. Then no matter what tour it is, you'll always have an insider with you. And those are where the value truly stands in terms of just making the most of it, really, because they're absolutely wonderful. All of them are wonderful.
So how far in advance should somebody be looking to kind of book a small group tour? Because you can't always match the flights because they're out, as you've said before, about 11.5 months or so. But the packages are out before that one. So you don't want to miss out on the package waiting for the flight. So how do you kind of make all that work?
So with those small group tours that I think are very high in demand, so kind of part of our elegant range, so kind of whether that's spring, summer or autumn, or our winter highlights, so the ones that are very seasonal dependent, then it's always a good idea if you know you're going to Japan, is to then snap them up as soon as they're available. So sort of like getting your place booked on that small group tour is really crucial. And then when flights become available, which is, 11.5 months before, usually, is then sort of like adding those flights in as soon as they become available. So that's a great process. So making sure that you're kind of booked in, you're sorted, you've got those dates kind of locked in, and then looking to flight options on top of that after they become available. So that's a bit of the process that you can take to make sure that you get the small group tour that you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And they do also have the option, if they really wanted to, they could make their own flight arrangements. But they're obviously not, if they're not going to get the package protection, they're not going to get atoll protection with the whole package where it's all kind of all one. So just to clarify what that is, let's say that there's something, the tour gets cancelled, for example. They still have to pay for their flights because it isn't the flight company's fault that the tour was cancelled, and vice versa. Whereas if you book it as a full package, If something goes wrong with that and it's cancelled, then your whole package is refundable. So you're protected in a whole lump.
Exactly. And another really important thing to add as well on top of that is, so of course, if you're kind of having your flights included, then that you will have that added financial protection. But it's always really crucial to make sure that you're getting the insurance as well, the travel insurance that's right for you at the time as well. So looking into that, obviously, can't kind of give advice on travel insurance because that's more of a financial matter. But it's always worth discussing directly with your insurance provider to find out the correct one for your time of travel.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing a podcast on travel insurance, so look out for that one because there's loads of little details, and I've seen some things stick out this year which are just insane. But we're going to go off the focus of Japan, so I'm not going to talk about them now. But
Correct.
yeah, just have a little search and look out for a travel insurance one because that'll be coming soon. So, are there any small group tours suitable for families or more geared towards adults? Kind of what have you got for those different types of travelers?
So it's like if there's a family, for example, that really kind of wants to, let's say, get off the beaten path and kind of go through the mountains of Shikoku, for example, then Hidden Japan is going to be fantastic because that one's a really unique one that doesn't start in Tokyo. So most of them will start in Tokyo. This one actually starts in Kyoto. And then that gives you more time in the Kanto region, so sort of Osaka, Kyoto, that area, but then a huge amount of time going across Shikoku. So for families or solo travelers that are looking for that experience, then that's a really good bet. For those that want to explore Tohoku, which is just north of Tokyo, and I've actually got a colleague that's just come back from there, and they said traveling around Tohoku in autumn, just the autumn leaves alone were remarkable. So absolutely golden yellow leaves all over the place. So that's a really good option too. Of course, we've talked about going into Hokkaido. So if you've got particular people, so I would say it's more of a personal decision rather than kind of however you're kind of coming at it, whether you're coming as solo or family, honeymoon. It depends on what you behind it, essentially. That would be your preference. So having a look through all those options. I mean, for first-time travelers as well, then we do have more traditional routes that still take you to some incredible places. So there's there's trips that maybe sort of focus on Tokyo and Kyoto, but then still has time in, let's say, the Japanese Alps. So seeing that element of the countryside. So really adding a huge amount of value to kind of like ticking off those boxes, but then seeing something really off the beaten path as well. And there's a fantastic itinerary that actually with a small group tour that takes people to Kinosaki Onsen as well, which is where I went in the summer, which is the onsen town, which I know we've talked about before, which is one of my favorite places in the world. It's such a nice stay. So it really depends on what you're hoping to get out of Japan. That we've got 11 different itineraries to choose from, so there really is something for everyone, regardless of whether you're coming at it with kind of going with friends, with your kids, or going by yourself. So it really depends on what you're looking to get out of Japan. That's the approach that you should take rather than the demographic that you fall under.
Cool. So you've mentioned solo travelers there as well. How do solo travelers work with these packages?
So with some of them, then there's no single supplement. So everything's going to be the same price. However, with others, then there will be a single supplement for some of the trips to make sure that if you're traveling as a solo traveler, then you're guaranteed your own room in all of the different stays. For the ones that don't have a single supplement, then you will get your own room throughout most of the stays, apart from potentially the traditional inns where you might be asked to share with someone of the same gender in the ryokan, the traditional inn stay. But for the Western style hotels, then you'll have your own room as well. But for those that do have a single supplement, you will have your own room essentially to use, and they're so popular. Solo travelers are so just love our small group tours so much, just because if you're traveling by yourself and you want to do an experience, then it can be sometimes intimidating for some people to kind of do a larger experience, like meeting a Maiko, for example, like the apprentice geisha. But knowing that you can do that as part of a larger group also brings the cost down as well, because having a private truly private audience with a mic over can be quite expensive. But doing it as part of a group, obviously, you still have that experience. Still have that shared experience as well. And I always kind of refer to it as, or liken it to kind of going to see a film with people. As long as they're not being, chewing on popcorn too loud or anything like that, but sort of like having that shared experience in a cinema where everyone's gasping or laughing or enjoying a moment. You just have that sort of feeling of community behind you, and it's that feeling that you're taking with you to Japan, which is can elevate it in a wonderful way.
Yeah, I've been trying to get my mother to get out on some more solo tours. Dad passed away a few years ago. And she's been getting out. She's been trying to go away with friends and things, and she's just having to organise lots of other people becomes difficult with timings and kind of everything else. So I've been trying to get her to do it, and she's just gone and done now a river cruise, or she signed up for one, which is her first solo experience. And I'd love her to be able to get out and go find more. So she's kind of in the 70s area, and I just think it's a perfect opportunity to get out and go and see the things you've always wanted to do but couldn't because life gets in the way and all those other things, and get out as a solo, and you get to meet lots of other people in a good safe environment. There'll be other solos traveling with you as well, and you can just meet travelers with like-minded kind of interests, and I think it's a great way to get out and about for those who maybe want to go and do some things but don't really want to go by themselves, and I think it's a great solution for them.
I think, yeah, in terms of that, it's that level of camaraderie that you get with our small group tours. And I've joined a few of our small group tours just by myself, and you just kind of get absorbed into the groups. So one that I joined a few years ago actually was with two families from Gibraltar. So there were 4 adults and about 5 teenagers. There was another solo traveler on that trip as well, and a young couple that were actually on their honeymoon, I think. And by about day 3, we all got absorbed into the Gibraltar family. So we became part of that Gibraltar family. So it was great fun in terms of going out for dinner and laughing and just experiencing it. And our insiders were great at making sure that they were kind of facilitating that bond, essentially, and making sure that everybody was included, no one was being left out, and everybody was having just the best time. And everyone just ended up just thoroughly appreciating each other and sharing those experiences as well. And I know there's actually quite a few friendships that were formed on that trip with those other travelers that are still strong to this day. I think they've actually been on other trips together in following it. So that's really great to hear about.
Yeah, it's fantastic, yeah. So we're going to wrap up now. Somebody who's been here before and they've seen quite a bit, what is your favourite region or experience that you think, if you had to give one, that a revisitor should go back and go and do?
Ooh,
only one.
Only one. I mean, I could talk about this for ages, but I'm going to have to revert back to food, I'm afraid. I think the food tour, doing that as a group if you're doing a food tour in Japan, then you're not going to go wrong. You're always going to have a fantastic time. But I loved the one that I did in the summer as part of a group, which was the food tour around Gion and Pontacho, the kind of the geisha districts of Kyoto, being taken into these kind of unassuming sort of tiny restaurants with a group, and then sort of trying like chicken skewers, or kind of trying out vegetables that are only available in Kyoto, and having that experience as part of a group, and everyone sort of like oohing and ahhing about the history and just the rarity of these like vegetables, I think was just so cool. And of course you're being fed at the end of the night, and so everyone's in good spirits. And that particular tour finished in an izakaya, so everyone was sort of having highballs and plum wines and beers at the end, so it was very jolly. So having that experience, I think they just packed in so much of Kyoto history and culture and flavors, that I loved it to bits.
I should have known it was going to.
Of course, it was going to be about food. How could it not? It's always about food.
Charlie, thank you very much for joining us. You've been absolutely amazing, and you've given a really, really good insight to Japan, what to do for first timers, for food, for accommodation, experiences, where to go. It's been, I feel, a really, really great podcast session. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have, because I've learned absolutely tons from it. And if, like me, you absolutely want to go and book up your trip to Japan, then give us a shout. I cannot wait to get Charlie to work and start to create your perfect itineraries, whether you're looking for a small group tour, whether you're looking for your own customized itinerary, however you want to do it. I'd love to organise a call and just get this sorted and make your dreams come true. Because it's absolutely a place I feel you have to get out and explore, though I haven't been there yet and I got to get there myself. So yeah, I'd just love to help you with that. And I think Inside Japan is just one of the perfect travel partners to go and do it with. So thank you for following. Make sure that you like and follow for further podcasts, because there's going to be lots more cracking information to come. And if you know somebody who's talking about Japan and wants to go, then share this with them. And make sure they listen to the whole series. So if you're just catching us now, then absolutely make sure you head back and catch the first episode, which was about our first time visitors to Japan. And listen to the whole series, because there is so much really good information here. It is well worth a listen. So thank you again, and look forward to seeing you on the next podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you.